Hello everyone and welcome to our live stream. Today we're going to explore the importance of rewards and recognition and examine how HR software can help. I'm Ant, Communication Business Partner here at Iris, and I'm joined by our amazing HR expert, Lizzy Barry, and HR product expert, Stuart Bate. Hi Lizzy, hi Stuart.
Morning.
Morning. So just a quick intro from me. So I'm Lizzy. I'm one of the HR team here at Iris and been with Iris for almost 5 years now. And my role is all about making sure that Iris is a great place to work and that we've got amazing technology and solutions in place to deliver a range of HR projects. So really excited to be speaking to you guys today. And Stuart?
And good morning, everyone. My name is Stuart Bate. I'm the pre-sales consultant for Cascade HR and Payroll. And my duties are to demonstrate software and get the most out of all the opportunities that you've got within the tools.
Great, thanks both. So to kickstart our session, Lizzy, could you tell us why it's so important we reward and recognize our people?
Oh, it's an amazing question, and actually was really excited to have a session that was all about that today, because I'm sure certainly as an HR professional myself and for many of the people who've joined us live today, that is a pressing issue for them at the moment. So we know that COVID was a particularly challenging time for employees and employers across the UK. And then to go straight from that into a cost of living crisis has been really challenging to make sure that we are looking after our employees, that we're doing the right thing for them, particularly if businesses are struggling in the wider environment that they're in. And ultimately, we know that making sure we're treating employees fairly, looking after them and their families are things that mean that they stay with us, they want to come and join us, and they do their hardest work for us as organisations as well. So ultimately, it's the right thing to do, but it is also the right thing to do for business reasons as well. So it's that win-win situation. So when we're thinking about actually the different ways that we might reward and recognise people, what we want to think about is what's going to attract people to our organisations. So we know it's tough at the moment to recruit good people. There's lots of companies who are hiring for a relatively small talent pool. So making sure that we are providing that good environment. We also recognise that if somebody's stressed about money outside of work, actually they bring that into work. So making sure that we're rewarding and recognising people financially in whatever situation they might be in, really, really important to enabling them to kind of live their full lives at work. And we also recognise that particularly post-COVID, with people working remotely more often now than they were before, actually there are different types of recognition incentives that might be needed. So previously it could have been that you had, a leaderboard on a whiteboard in the office, or you were able to come in and do thank yous at the end of a day or at the end of a particular project. Now that's a bit trickier. So actually thinking about the ways that you can do that for people who work remotely all the time, or actually even more challenging that we see is where people are doing hybrid working. So there are some people in the office some of the time and some people at home. And how do you make sure you're equally engaging those people who are face to face with their boss versus those people who aren't here in the day to day, but will be working just as hard? So really, really tough questions and often tough issues to solve, but hopefully can talk through some of the things that we've seen work really nicely and some of the ways that we use some systems and tools to support with some of these issues as well.
Great, thanks Lizzy. I guess delving in a bit deeper, what sort of reward and recognition do you think people value the most?
So one of the really interesting things that we actually found during our time in COVID and making sure that we were looking after people, and that has really informed our philosophy in terms of reward and recognition moving forward, is that actually people are in such different life circumstances at any given time that actually there is no one size fits all approach. So I'm sure many people remember the dark days of COVID where there were people who had kids at home when the schools were closed, trying to juggle that, being a teacher and a stay-at-home parent and working a full-time job. And the challenges that they faced were completely different to somebody with no kids, no family around, who were living on their own. And actually, they could be equally challenging situations in very different ways. So really from that approach, we really had a greater understanding that actually if you give all people exactly the same reward or recognition and they all get the same thing, that might actually not be meaningful for some people because of the situations that they're in. So when we've been thinking about the different offerings that we have, we want to make sure that we are meeting people where they are and based on their personal circumstances at that point in time. And so really that's around doing things that are quite flexible, so various different options. So for example, we have a flexible benefits package. So we have a core set of benefits that everybody receives, so things like pension and healthcare, but then there's other things that employees can sign up to. So if they want additional life insurance, if they want critical illness cover, if they want to donate to charity because their incomes can stretch to that. So they can then select and say, based on where I am at the moment in my career, my family and personal life and the circumstances that I find myself in, these are the things that are going to be most meaningful to me. And that's really true when we look at all the different options across reward and recognition. So we know that things like the financial incentives have been particularly, well, in the news as much as anything else, with all of the public sector strikes going on, really significant increases that we've sometimes seen to salaries and the competitions there. And actually some people are incredibly driven by the bottom line of what they take home in their pay slip each month. And other people say, you know, I wouldn't do this work for free, but actually that's not the most important thing that's going to keep me happy and engaged. And actually what I want is career development and the opportunity to be doing something different in a year than I'm doing today. Or actually, I want to balance my working life with my family life. So I don't want a job that is going to keep me up all night and have work that I'm having to take home at the end of the day, because it's that balance that's more important to me than getting the highest salary I possibly can right now. So whenever we're thinking about the different ways that we're recognizing and rewarding our employees, we really need to keep in mind that actually that can look very different for different people. So when we've been putting any of our programs together, we try and have a variety of different things that are going to tick some of those boxes for our different members of staff. And it's even as simple as when it comes down to, we have our impact awards, which Stuart will show a bit more in more detail behind the scenes of how they work. But they are essentially an employee recognition program where employees can nominate each other for the great work that they've done to support our IRIS values. And so we give people vouchers for those, and quite often people then spend them on a whole range of different things, because actually if we just gave somebody a trophy, and then I know the old-fashioned way of doing it was you give somebody a pen or, you know, just a badge or a trophy to put on your office desk. And actually those things are less relevant these days. And we find people take their family out, people might save up for presents for their children at Christmas time. They might have been saving up for a long time for a new TV, and then their voucher goes towards that. So actually really thinking about rewards that can give people those freedoms to say, actually, what works for me and my family and what's going to be really rewarding for me. Because actually we know, even within our own family and friends, if we were each given £250, we'd probably spend it on something completely different. So making sure that we're recognizing those differences really, really important as well. And I know that we have had quite a lot of questions and feedback in the media recently around actually given that companies are finding the financial situations quite challenging, and with inflation last year at above 10% and salaries not keeping pace with that, and often the Treasury saying, well, please don't get the salaries to keep pace with that because that will make inflation worse in the long term. Companies are having a real challenge to say, well, how do I motivate and reward and maintain the staff that I have and make sure that they're happy without breaking the bank and without having those wider impacts. So again, really important to make sure that you are getting the salaries right, that people are feeling fairly paid, but also covering things around, actually, are we giving people the recognition that they need through things like awards, or even just good managers who call out when their teams are doing a good job, that they're getting that regular recognition, making sure that people are able to be promoted, because we know that particularly when you are promoted, that's also a great opportunity to attract a higher salary or a bigger bonus, and you're taking that next step in your career and bringing more value to the organisation as well. So not just about the bottom line in terms of what's on people's pay slips, but a much, much wider and more holistic approach.
Yeah, there's some great examples, Lizzy. And what's been the impact of these initiatives at Iris?
Oh, there's been a whole range, really. So we really try to kind of recognise these in lots of different ways and capture the different things that we're doing. So, and Cascade is a system that we've used for many years at Iris, and I'm sure many on the call are either using today or thinking about using. And it gives us that really fantastic reporting so that we can measure the impact of the initiatives that we offer. So it does things like measuring our attrition rates, so voluntary and involuntary leavers, our headcount over the year, so that we're then able to see, actually, are we retaining the fantastic staff that we have? We're also able to conduct regular employee surveys. So again, this can be done via Cascade or via a whole host of other tools, so that we're asking employees on a regular basis, how are you feeling about working here? What's meaningful for you? How have you found some of these initiatives? And what can we do more to help and support you in your working lives as well? So actually having some of that data there is really vital for making sure that we are spending that money and that time and investment in the right places. One of the other ways that we can measure this really effectively is actually through being able to measure sickness absence. So again, that is something that we track through Cascade. People track when they go off sick, and then their manager puts in when they're back in the office. And we also track the reasons for those absences. And we know that people's financial situations, and particularly if they're feeling financially insecure or at hardship, is really intertwined with their mental health. So actually, if we're giving better financial support and financial well-being advice to our employees, we should then see a corresponding reduction in that sickness absence. So all of those things really go hand in hand. And likewise, we know that mental health is also tied to having meaningful work, having colleagues that you get on with, feeling close to the people that you're working with, and having a manageable workload. And all of those things are within our control to one degree or another as HR professionals. And so that's a really easy way that we can monitor that sort of thing. And actually, it's been really good to see that some of the reduction in stigma around mental health that we've seen over the past few years means that we are getting more employees disclosing when their sickness absence is related to mental health. But also then that means that we know we need to put more initiatives and more support in place. And then we are able to track that and see the corresponding fall when those wider initiatives are successful as well. So ultimately, lots and lots of data that drives our analysis and understanding of how impactful they are.
Amazing. So moving on to the software portion of our live stream, Lizzy, Stuart, how has Iris Cascade supported these initiatives?
Oh, thank you very much. So as I said, I'm so excited to be showing some of these really cool features to everybody today. The Impact Awards, which Stuart's going to be showing first, is something that's really close to my heart. The Impact Awards were something we launched many years ago to coincide with the launch of our IRIS values, which spell out impact. And it's only relatively recently that we've had the functionality in Cascade to actually manage those kind of nominations and be able to pull reports on those and have it as a bit more of an automated process. And it has made it so smooth, such a dream. The HR operations team who collate those awards have a much easier life now than they did before. And it provides a much smoother process for the nominees themselves, because we're able to immediately notify them when they've been nominated, and they can see why they were nominated as well. So it's a great example of how some of that technology has been put to really fantastic use. So over to you, Stuart. Show us all the beautiful screens.
No problem. I'll just move everyone over to my screen. Hopefully that's on display there. But as you've mentioned, Lizzy, this is very much one of the best features that we've added recently to the system. And it's really quick and easy to actually set an awards system up within Cascade. We've actually added an awards section within the administration. So once you've actually dropped into the awards area, you can have a new award set up within a matter of minutes. So it's just a case of adding a new award, giving it a name and a description. You can also add external links as well for people to get more information, so they can click on an external website and then just go through and have a look exactly what these awards are for and what rewards you're actually going to get based on these awards. You can set your open and close dates, so it's going to automatically shut down after the period that you've laid out. So once you've got that, then you've got an awards system that looks a little bit like this. Now, there's a couple of different ways that the actual employees themselves can access the awards, but the best place is absolutely through our mobile app. So just drop it into the mobile app here. I can see I've got my details once I've logged in, and the extra button that has been added here is the award nominations. So if I tap on that, then that'll give me the details of the Impact Awards that I'm currently running at the moment. I can search for a name or a job title at this point, and then I can type in which award they're going to deserve if you've got multiple awards running at any one time. Once you've got that, then you can put in your reasons as to why you're nominating them and just click the nominate button. That'll then pass through to the managers as well as the employees to let them know that they've received some reward and recognition at that point. Now, from a point of view of actually measuring this, the great thing is within Cascade, you're going to be able to do it from a few different ways. So the first one is that you can build it into your dashboards. So you can have a dedicated window here, which is going to, let you know all the current nominations. This is a live system, so it's always going to be feeding the current data. So as soon as somebody nominates another person, then this will update instantly. So you're going to get that live ticker as you go actually going through on any of these award nominations that you've got within the system. One of the other things that you can do is, obviously, because of how powerful the reporting tools are within the system, you're going to be able to custom build your own report for this particular award. So you can schedule any of these rewards reports to actually drop into your inbox on a certain date. So if you're just going to get an update once a week or once a month, then you can distribute this to all the teams, or you can just send it to an individual who can then disseminate that information. But on the first page here, I've just got a quick league table just to describe what the count is for all these awards that everybody's receiving. But then I can also have a totals page, which is going to summarize basically all the nominations that have come through, who sent them, and what the comments were that they put actually against those particular nominations. So you're going to get that full feedback right across the board on all of those kind of nominations that are coming through. How does that look? Is that the sort of thing that you wanted me to go through? Is there anything else that you think that we need to cover on that side?
I mean, I will wait and see if any questions come in of things that people want to see. But I think from my perspective, it's Beautiful. I totally also love the pink reports. I feel like I don't get enough pink reports. So thank you for sharing those. And yeah, as I said, certainly for us in HR internally, this has been transformative for us in how easy it's been to administer the awards. So much easier for us to then have that feedback shared directly with the employee in real time, which was a real struggle for us before, because we probably get 100 nominations a quarter. And so it wasn't possible from a resource perspective for us to individually share each of those nominations prior to the winners being selected. And that was such a waste of amazing feedback and really positive feeling that people were getting. So it's been really fantastic to be able to share that. And actually through that insight that we've been able to get, what we've also been able to automate is employees now get a £10 coffee voucher for each time they're nominated in a quarter. So that's a really nice way of, again, supporting that reward and recognition piece. And they don't even need to win the award. It's just enough for them to have been nominated. And then they get that little thank you that pops into their inbox to hopefully brighten their day a bit. And that, again, would not have been easy or possible based on the resources we have without Cascade being able to manage that for us. I know one of the other things, Stuart, that you are building up to show us, which I also love in Cascade, is the ability to do kind of surveys and that sort of thing, which is really, really helpful. One of the surveys that we have done recently has been supporting one of our financial initiatives. So when the cost of living crisis really hit kind of in the summer, early autumn last year, we were getting lots of questions from employees about, you know, help, we're struggling, we're really feeling the pain here, our energy bills are going up, our mortgages are rising, what do we do? And we really wanted, again, to make sure that we were supporting employees in a variety of different ways, because there were some people who were better well off, more cushioned from it, maybe still had some savings from being in the lockdowns in COVID, whereas other people would have been completely floored by this, might be living closer to their breadline or have more mouths to feed at home. So one of the things that we did was we asked people if they wanted to advance their annual bonus payout. So usually we would pay out our bonuses in the summer. We said, actually, we can either give you the option to keep having your bonus paid out in the summer, or you can advance £500 of it, either so that it's paid in November, or for our people who are also on universal credit or other benefits, where having a lump sum of that amount would screw up their payments, that actually they could spread the payments over £100 for 5 months over the winter months to, again, support them through that. So one of the ways that we were able to do that was through some of the surveys that we were able to do in Cascade. So Stuart, don't know if you want to show some of those.
Yeah, no problem at all. So obviously SurveyMonkey gets used quite a lot by a lot of organizations, and the great thing about Cascade is that this can replace tools like that. So within our reports and analysis, then we've got our own dedicated survey manager. So if you're not aware of this, the surveys that you can actually create within the system allow you to do anonymous as well as named surveys. You can schedule any of these surveys to actually come out at any time for you as well. So the great thing is you can have, quarterly well-being surveys that go out to people, check in on them, find out how they're doing, get all that feedback coming through. You can do even down to leavers surveys, any kind of functionality that you need on that side. But just to, go over the actual cost of living bonus advance. Now, in terms of the survey that we would send out, the preview that we were, if I just click on here, so the survey was actually being sent out to all employees just to ask them, would they like to opt into the bonus scheme? And would you like the advance to be either a lump sum or 5 equal payments, as we mentioned before? And then there's just a quick explanation of what that is. And if you need more details, we can click away to a URL, which gives more information on that as well. Once we've the employees clicked on the accept the terms and conditions, then that can go straight through to a manager or to finance or to anybody else that's actually dealing with these payments. and arrange for that to be paid. If you've got the payroll module, then obviously we can arrange those payments via pay elements very quickly and easily within the Cascade system from there as well. Also, just in terms of actually getting some data on that employee record, then you're also able to quickly and easily have that job and salary screen within the system. And just to view the details, you've got the full historic record, so you can review, any employee within the system. But you might not want to do that on a one-to-one basis. You may need to see an overall view of all the employees within the system. And that's obviously where our query builder comes in. So query builder is probably one of the, the strongest tools within Cascade, in that, there's no report field that isn't reportable within the system. So you're able to customize and build your reports to be exactly how you need them. So if I need a full breakdown of all of my employees at the moment and what their current salaries are and what their current contracts are, that sort of thing, I can have all of that in a single report within the system. So once I run that, then I can either have the raw data within the system like this, and I can just export to Excel if that's all I need. But if I want to turn this into an actual report with some graphs and charts and things like that, then I can save the group and use that within my reports and analysis.
Amazing. Thank you, Stuart. And one of the reasons that we actually use this and dramatically prefer it over things like SurveyMonkey is that, number one, it's automatically then linked to that person's Cascade record. So rather than then having to go back and do a VLOOKUP or spend some time trying to say, right, which employee, maybe put their name in wrong, or it didn't link properly to the particular person's email address. Actually, we have it all there in Cascade already. It also means at any point in time, we can then go back, as you showed, we can run queries on that. So since we've now come to the time when we're paying out those annual bonuses, it was really easy for us to say, actually, we need a report of who took those bonus advances, and so that we can include those in our calculation. So actually having that information in Cascade as that one source of the truth, really, really valuable for us. And it's much easier from an employee perspective because they only have one system to learn how to use. They already understand Cascade. They already have their login details. So there's no confusion when an email comes from there, and they know how surveys there work. So really, really valuable. I know one of the other questions that we had that we've had come through on the chat today was around loyalty programs and kind of how are they working. And I think loyalty programs can mean many different things to many different people. We, again, have a few different types of loyalty programs that we run here at Iris. So we have our long service awards. So this rewards and recognises people for service when they get to 10 years. There's some debate going on at the moment about whether we move that to 5 years, but actually we have many quite long-standing employees here at Iris, so most people do get to 5 relatively painlessly. So what we try and do is actually say, right, let's really reward the people who have kind of given their all and continued to do so over that longer period. And we find that there's a bit of financial recognition in the sense that we give vouchers at each 5-year period after 10 years service, but we also start giving people paid days off. So we have a few people who've recently celebrated their 35-year anniversaries at Iris, which is wonderful, and they now get a couple of weeks fully paid off, as well as a voucher, so that they are then able to just enjoy some very well-deserved rest and relaxation. But we also recognise that loyalty programs are not just about, I've worked here for a certain length of time and actually I'd like something for that, or I want that piece of recognition. We also do various smaller scale things that encourage people to stay with us. So we have things like funded training programs. They come with provisos that we will fund the training up front, but if they leave the business within 1 or 2 years, that they might need to pay back a proportion of those. Obviously, that's beneficial for the business because we get that fantastic use that they're putting into those development programs. But also, it's a really great way for employees to kind of get the benefit of that investment in them and their careers as well. We do also see things around kind of discounted sites and things like that. So those sorts of things. And that can be a really nice way, again, to get those rewards and recognitions in place. So I've given a few examples there. Stuart, do you want to talk a bit about Cascade and how it can support the monitoring of some of those?
Yes, no problem at all. And that's very much through our workflow process. So within the system, obviously, we've got some extremely powerful workflows within here, and you can have them for any kind of function. So all the actual workflow process is just waiting for a trigger within the system. So once you've set what your trigger is going to be, then we can define what actions need to be taken on the back of that. So I've already got some examples in here of things like 5 years length of service and 10 years length of service. So we can have those in the system. So as soon as people have actually hit those, then the system can automatically take charge and actually start sending out the notifications to notify, members of staff, to HR, to managers, anybody else that needs to be aware of this. And then any other type of tasks, whether or not you want to actually do a mail merge and generate some letters just to make it a bit more personal for that employee, just to acknowledge that they have hit these milestones. And then any other tasks that you want to do, we can, you can obviously build your own custom screens for any kind of reward and recognition within there as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Stuart. And once again, the workflow and mail merge functions make my team's lives so much easier. The ability to be able to have automated triggers to managers that say, hey, did you know that your employee's coming up to their annual work anniversary, or they're about to be here for a year or 2 years, or it's about to be their birthday? Those little reminders can actually mean a huge amount to employees if their manager can reach out to them and say, hey, it's coming up to your 1 year. How are you doing? Congratulations. And likewise, then with all of those kind of meaningful dates moving forward. And actually, it's one of my team's birthdays today. And so we were able to get a card going round, and that's an automated reminder that comes out in the system. We're able to then share kind of that happy birthday message with her. And that's really nice and meaningful as well. So lots of different ways that those workflows really, really help us in that space as well.
Well, amazing. Thank you both so much for sharing some really great examples of how Cascade can support employees, automate initiatives, and save HR professionals time. So thank you everyone for joining our live stream. Thank you, Stuart and Lizzy, for sharing your insights. And be sure to tune in for the next LinkedIn Live.
Wonderful.
Goodbye.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye-bye.